بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Here we are. I forgot to ask our sisters to come on over. Sisters, if you like, come on over this side. Today's lecture is the final in this series. It's going to be covering when things go wrong. When things go wrong, meaning with your child. Things that you did not expect to happen. Yesterday, your child was an infant, and tomorrow, your child will be a teenager. Yesterday an infant, tomorrow a teenager. You might be asking yourself, where have you gone wrong? You spent time, you spent money, you spent many resources. Why does your child disrespect you? Why does your child shout at you? Why does your child throw tantrums? Since things have gone wrong, does that mean that you are a terrible parent? Are you to blame for the unruly behavior of your child? These are things to consider, especially as we said, when the child becomes a teenager or close to that. Child went berserk. Child lost their minds. You don't know if they're your children or they're incredible hulks. And you're trying to figure out what's going on. Let's discuss a little bit of the reality of anger, rebelliousness, tantrums, and tears. Headstrong children will stop at nothing to turn your whole house inside out. Ever heard the term hard-headed? Heard of that? You heard of that term. You heard of that word? Hard-headed? Headstrong kids, hard-headed. They will stop at nothing. They will turn the whole house inside out. For no reason. No reason in your eyes. For a reason in their eyes, of course. They want their way. And they want to get their way right now. So they will turn the whole house and disrupt the whole thing in order to get their way. They may cry and whine for hours until they get your attention or they get what they want. Now, if you give in to them, then you are reinforcing that bad habit of theirs. That as long as they kick and scream and holler and demand, that you will eventually give in. And that's what's good about having the balance between mom and dad. Mom usually lets, give kids things, pampers them and comforts them. And dad usually says, hey, stand up, hey, it's no big deal. Stop crying. And all of these things. It's a balance between the two. You have the soft and you have the hard. Children are quite often emotionally imbalanced, even though they may excel in various fields. What does that mean? Child may be like straight A student, top of the class, but has a problem with anger, or has a problem with jealousy, or has a problem with depression. There are sometimes some emotional imbalances in the child. The child may soar in different areas. The child may be an excellent video gamer, excellent with Fortnite, right? But when it comes down to their emotional balances with you, and how they respond to you and how they respect you, you find them not properly developed. And that's a reality that the parents should come to a realization that maybe my child has an emotional imbalance or my child is not quite emotionally mature. It's okay. You come to the realization, then you can deal with it differently. You've noticed that if a baby, like a small infant baby, takes their toy and hits you upside the head with it, you won't get offended. Why? Because it's a baby. If your 10-year-old does the same thing, you're going to push them over. What are you doing? Watch out. Why you hit me? If that baby knocks over your glass of milk, you're going to laugh and say, oh man, what did you do? You'll pick it up and say, why do you do that to me? But when the 10-year-old does it, you feel offended. How dare you knock over the milk on my clothes? Right? You have to be prepared to address the child and their needs at all of these phases. And children, though you are still children, I want you to realize this, that it takes work to raise you guys. It takes work to put in and invest in you. It takes a lot of work. Okay, how do you discipline an unruly child? Give me some examples. What can you do to help straighten out a child who has gone berserk? Yes, ma'am.
My basic thing to do is make sure that you are listening to them, because if they don't feel like they're being heard, they tend to act out more.
Good.
Like if you just dismiss, like, no, I told you no, that's it, and you say nothing.
Good, our
Like
sister.
they are not important.
That's right. Our sister suggested that we can listen to them, because if you don't give them a chance to express themselves, they feel like they're not important, and they just wanted to say whatever they needed to say or felt like they needed to say. So listen to them. How else? What other steps can we take to discipline our kids? What do you think?
Right here.
Yes. Hold on. Yes.
You can calm them down.
Calm them down. What if they start screaming and hollering and stomping their feet? Yes, sir.
We deprive them from rewards, like positive reinforcement.
Good. So take some of their rewards away. Take some of the things that they like away. We're going to talk about that. Yes, sir. He said, whoop them. That's old-fashioned. Old-fashioned is take a paddle to them or something. Let me give you all some, yes, yes, you make dua, oh Allah, rectify for me in my children, right? You can make dua for them, طبعا. Let me take you through some steps of how to come over or how to accommodate an unruly child. Number one, use a firm and normal voice and emphasize the consequences for bad conduct. The key here is not to scream at them. I know that's hard. It's hard not to shout at them. But you're going to use a calm voice, but you're going to be a firm voice. That you're emphasizing the consequences of what they're doing. What's going to happen to you, what I'm going to have to take some measures, some steps, if you continue misbehaving. Number two, look at the child in the eyes and inform the child, I am serious. I'm not playing, like that, firm voice. Repeat this approach a few times, that you are informing them of the consequences. You are having a firm voice. You're looking them right in the eyes. If they don't listen to you after that, then close the gap. Close the gap. What does that mean, close the gap? Close the gap means come closer to them. Proximity makes a big difference. Because, of course, you are big, but from a distance you look small. Right? To a child, even from a distance, you look smaller. You come near to them, and you squat down so that you're looking them right in the eyes, then you're big. And that proximity also should calm them, because what do they know about being close to you? They know about comfort. Remember, they were infants, right? And they were always close to mom, right there, right there, right there. So that closeness, that proximity brings them comfort. Also, you carry them and you help mom out and so forth and so on, so they remember that. You remember that man who asked the Prophet ﷺ, O Messenger of Allah, make it allowed for me to commit zina. Make it allowed for me to do what? Commit zina. What is zina? What is zina? Teenagers, tell me what zina is. Adultery means premarital relations, meaning before marriage having relations with the opposite gender. Is that allowed in Islam? Before marriage, is it okay to have relations with the opposite gender?
No.
Absolutely not. This man said, Ya Rasulullah, make that allowed for me. Give me a pass. So then the Sahaba were like, like we would say, what are you talking about? Right? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said first, bring him near to me. Let him come near to me. That proximity, as we said. If the child is not listening to you, and you're giving them they're telling them consequences with a lower voice but a firm voice, then you close the gap to show them, hey, I'm not going anywhere. And you, child, you will not rule what's going on with me. You will not be in control. But again, not with shouting and screaming. Number 3, begin to list for them the consequences of their misbehavior with a firm tone. And again, never raise your voice. If you tell them the consequence and they continue to misbehave, you have to follow up on the consequence. For example, if you say tomorrow you're grounded and they continue misbehaving, then tomorrow they're grounded. Don't give them a pass. I don't believe they should have smartphones anyway. Or at least if they have them, then they should be under your watch. You should be able to see and know every message and every person, every contact that they have and so forth. You're the parent. Just because they have a phone, that doesn't mean they have freedom with the phone. No, you have to be in control because children most often are getting in a lot of trouble with those phones. So if you say, I'm going to take your phone, then take the phone. If you say, I'm going to take your phone for a week, then take it for a week. Don't say, it's okay. 5 days is enough. No, stick by the consequence as long as they continue misbehaving. Now, if they said, I'm sorry, and I apologize, and I won't do it, then of course, you maybe do 1 or 2 of those consequences, the lighter ones, to show them that, hey, it's not a game. When I tell you to do something, you must do it, and so forth. And of course, you can give and take in that. So, number 4, you must observe what your child likes. For example, all of your teenage children and almost teenagers love Fortnite. And they keep getting these upgrades and stuff like that. They're spending your money to get these packages that actually help them better on the game. Yeah. So if you know that's what they like, then threaten them with Fortnite. You will not play for 2 weeks. How about that? Then they're going to really start thinking about it. You might say to them, you're canceled. You're supposed to go this way, you're supposed to go that way, you're supposed to go for football practice. Guess what? I'm canceling that. You're supposed to go to soccer practice. I'm canceling that. You're not going next week. And stick by it. So now when you're taking from them what they like, then they learn that their misbehavior is actually harming them. If they're really little, you may designate a timeout time or timeout space. And a timeout space should not be in their room. I would say go to your room because you're tired of them whining, so you just want them to get out of your face. So you say go to your room. No, the timeout place should be in the public area, and everyone is supposed to leave that child alone. Don't speak to the child. Don't respond to the child. Don't pay attention to anything that they say, and tell their siblings to leave them by themselves. And let them sit there and think about what they've done until they apologize. If they apologize, then act as if they didn't even do anything wrong and change the vibe of the situation. Meaning be nice and kind and everything, and remind them to fear Allah and be conscious of Allah and know that Allah is watching and He appreciates when they behave and so forth. But if they continue like that, let them stay in there as long as necessary. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, let them stay in that space. When they feel lonely and everyone has abandoned them, they're going to get it. See, these things take time. It's easy. Otherwise, you get the belt, you get your hand or stick, right? And you can hit them. You would get your frustration out. You would hope that that will work. But this way takes more patience. And it seems to be more effective. As we said, we're talking about effective parent-child relations. Lastly, reward them only when they behave. Do not bribe them out of misbehavior. What does it mean to bribe them out of misbehavior? Yes, sir.
Get them what they want even though they did something bad.
Yes, get them what they want even though they've done something bad. Good job. Means the person, this child, is misbehaving, so you're trying to get them from misbehavior by bribing them. Oh, I'll get you this. Oh, I'll get you that. No, do not reward misbehavior. Only reward behavior. This goes from when they're infants, like toddlers, all the way up till they're out of your home. Never reward misbehavior, never bribe them. Help them to think, help them to choose what is right. Reason with them. So these are things that we can do as parents to keep from shouting at them, to keep from hitting them. What about bullying? Tell me. This is another subject in the concept of things going wrong. Because as a parent, your child may be going through bullying and you don't even know it. And of course, most children don't want to mention anything to their parents about it. But that bullying may have a huge effect on their character with you, even though you're not the bully. And of course, we should make sure that as parents, we're not the bullies of the kids, right? We said before that you don't want to overpower your child with your might and your strength and your size, because eventually they will be stronger than you and they'll just do the same thing. But if you give them care and concern, consideration, you listen to them, you talk to them, you try your best and be patient, they will do the same for you. Bullying can happen to any child. Give me some ideas. How can bullying be done? How can you bully someone? Yes, sir.
Cyberbullying.
I'm sorry?
Cyberbullying.
One more time. Say it loud.
Cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying online. That's right. Yes, sir.
Verbally.
Verbal bullying. Yes, sir.
Physically.
Physically bullying. Yes, sir.
That was mine.
Again?
That was mine.
That was yours? Good job. Physically bullying. Yes, Ismail. Forgot? Sisters, how else can you bully? Basically, bullying is through taunting. You know, when you taunt someone, a form of taunting someone is that they're standing there, minding their business, and someone big and strong comes at them and does like this. You know? It's tifzaz. It's called taunting. Yes, sir.
Don't they just chant something to them? They go, you're weak.
Yeah, they can say, you know, when your kids, they say nana na boo boo, something like that. And of course, as you grow older, you know, say ha ha, you know, laugh at them and so forth, and point and laugh. And that's called taunting. Harassment. That's another way to bully someone. Harass them. Call them names. Get on their nerves and get on their nerves and get on their nerves and so forth. Then attacking them, as we said, hitting them and so forth. These are types of bullying. You as a parent must be on the lookout for unusual behavior, especially if your child is attending school. That includes Islamic school and public school. If your child is attending school, be on the lookout for unusual behavior from them. If they're homeschooled, it's probably less likely that they'll be bullied, especially if you are aware of where they're going, what websites they're using, and so forth. So be aware for unusual behavior. And remember that most children will not tell their parents that they have been bullied. It's too shameful. How many people do you think in the UK commit suicide a year due to bullying? About 16 people. And a lot of these mass shootings, especially in schools, are results of bullying. These people were bullied. These people were made fun of. They took guns to school, and they avenged themselves. They took revenge out on those people who bullied them. It's a lot of it like that. So bullying can do a lot of harm. And of course, we have cyberbullying, where somebody would make a fake profile of another child and put up the pictures and make fun of that person and so forth. All types of ways. And unfortunately, you have Muslim kids doing these things. You know, making fun of each other. There is a website, or there's an organization called Bullying Online, and they mention some signs of bullying. If you see your child coming home with torn clothes, then they're probably being bullied. It's likely. If you see your child losing money all the time, losing money, the bully is taking the money from them. They say, I lost it, and it's often, they could be being bullied. If your child is moody and bad-tempered, like mood swings, they go from one mood to another all of a sudden, it may be a sign of being bullied. A child is quiet and withdrawn. That means they come over to the corner, they don't say much, and this could also be from bullying in the home, and وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ molestation in in the home? How many people are harassed by their own family members? Uncles and aunties and so on and so forth. It happens. And that child is afraid. Usually those children are afraid to say something. They don't want to get their grandpa in trouble or their grandma in trouble or their aunt or their uncle. Be aware of these things. You have to learn to talk about communicating. If you communicate to your child now, they'll be used to telling you these things. If we don't speak to our kids enough and we let the television continue to raise them, or when we're together, we're with the television, or the child is on the phone, and they put Fortnite on the phone, or the Fortnite equivalents on the phone, and they keep playing and playing and playing and playing, all they want is the phone. And then you have Instagram, and they pick and different things like Facebook and so forth, where they're taking these weird pictures and playing in these weird places with these weird people. Then guess what? That's still your child. And that child has to be shown how to behave, and that child has to be nurtured to make the best choices. But for the most part, you've let them go. Doesn't mean it's not over, but you have to now, kind of like backtrack and make up for where you messed up, and it takes a lot more work to do that. It takes a lot more work to do that. So it's better to just do it right in the first place. If you see your child being very aggressive with their siblings, that may be a sign of bullying. How many of you here have brothers and sisters? Raise your hand. So who is the aggressive one? You are aggressive? Yusuf, you're the smallest one. You're aggressive. Yusuf is the smallest brother. He said he's aggressive. So don't be aggressive. Don't be overly aggressive to your siblings. Why are you treating a person that you live with? You share a mother with them and a father with them. You remember Musa? Musa, when he went to At-Tur for 40 nights and he got a Torah. What happened with Aaron and the Israelites? Yes, sir.
Some of them became Christians.
Some of them became Christians is not the correct answer. That's, you're in the field somewhere. Yes, sir.
Some of them led to astray.
Yes, some of them were led astray, but how? Yes, Ismail.
A guy he created a golden cow.
Yes, a guy he created, a Samiri, he created a golden calf. And they began to worship it. So, Harun, the Bible unfortunately says that Harun was like leading them, Aaron was leading them in worshiping the calf. But the Quran, Ta'ala Allah, does not allow that lie to be taught, that Aaron was in it, that ringleader. No, it was not Aaron. Aaron was telling them, do not do it. But he did not want to differentiate between the Israelites because he was afraid that Moses was going to say, you've split up the Banu Israel and you've done. But Moses, when he came down to Harun, he grabbed him by his hair and he grabbed him by his beard and he pulled him closely to him, like this. And then Aaron said, Ya bana O son of my mother, do not grab me by my beard and my hair. I was afraid that you would say that you have differentiated, you have basically split up the Israelites, and I was afraid that you would not give me a chance to defend myself. You would not give me a chance to explain, basically. So I didn't do anything. I invited them to leave it alone, but I did not press them, basically. That's what he's saying. But the point is, he shared a mother with Moses, so he said, oh, son of my mother, don't abuse me. See what I'm saying? You share a mother, you share a father with the sibling. Why are you misbehaving and mistreating me? I don't understand. Especially, these older siblings really hate, for some reason, the younger siblings. Why? Why so much hatred? Hey guys, do me a favor. If you have a younger brother or younger sister, I want you to go out of your way to be kind to them. Can you do that? And I'm going to be checking back with some of you to make sure that your older sibling is being nice to you. Deal? So some of you, I know that you're clearly older than your siblings, and others I have to ask. But I'm going to be checking. If you're not behaving nice to your siblings, then you won't be rewarded. If you are behaving nice to your siblings, I will reward you myself. And I will encourage your parents to reward you. We have something in it. I don't know, did you guys have this back home? In Bangladesh, in Pakistan? Older brother, older sister abusing the younger siblings? You had it? He said yes. You had it? Really? Even over there? I was going to try to, make it different. Yalla, help me out.
But there are a lot of good
They are big brothers. They are very kind to you.
There are a lot of ones like that.
your fathers.
Right, there are a lot of big brothers that are just like fathers. But here we have a culture, even on almost every television show that the kids watch, the siblings always have this rivalry. They're always pitting against each other, and they're always competing against each other and abusing each other, right? In fact, I was remember one time, I don't know how I got introduced to this cartoon, but it's called Wild Kratts. You ever heard of Wild Kratts? Parents, if you don't know Wild Kratts, come on, man, you're supposed to know it. I was so happy that Wild Kratts, it's so informative, such an educational program, that the two brothers are so nice to each other. I was amazed. And, you know, I grew up in this culture. So when I watched Wild Kratts, I said, wow, all kids should watch this show. Why? Because I was thinking that, of course, it's nothing but learning. They get to turn into the animals. They are caring for the animals and protecting the animals from the villains. And they are so nice to each other. That was my point, that they're nice to each other. Learn how to be nice to your siblings. May Allah preserve you. Okay, now your child is being bullied. Imagine, your child is being bullied. What's next? What should you do? How should you go about it? As parents, what do you think you should do? And I would ask you too, Noor, what do you think should happen now that the child is being bullied? What should the parents do? Yes, sir.
Inform the principal or the bully's parents.
So he said inform the principal or the bully's parents. I'm going to agree with informing the principal, especially at school, but if you inform the bully's parents, it might make things worse, because you know they're going to defend their child. You know, everybody defends their children first, without asking, without figuring it out. They'll defend them first, and no, absolutely, you have to like force it down their throat just for them to see it. Don't be like that. Parents, if somebody brought some news about your child, find out first before you just, you know, defend them and get. That's what you know how you defend someone just because they're from your tribe or your family, or you defend someone just because you're, you know, for example, you work with that person and so forth, and you defend them based off of that. You have to listen first. You have to listen and be concerned that there might be an actual problem that you need to address. So instead of defending them first, get to the bottom of it. But I would suggest still don't address the parents of the other child. Address the school. And then I'm going to name some reasons here. What else should we do? Parents, what do you think? Yes, sir, Mr.
Probably ground them.
Ground the parents? Ground the kids for being bullied? What about the kid is being bullied, not bullying?
The kid is
Being bullied. So how can the parent help the child?
not go to that school.
Yeah, go to the school, right? Yes, sir.
They can tell the bullying to stop on their
Well, think about it. The parent goes to a young child and tells the child, hey, leave my son alone. I don't think that's going to be effective. Because then that child is going to run to their parent and say, oh, he said and she said. It's better to go to the teachers. Yes, sir. Yusuf. If the child can learn to defend themselves. Well, where I come from, I had to learn how to fight back. But you all learn a different generation, where even if you are innocent or just fight back, you'll get suspended.
And charges.
Yes, ma'am.
Whether you fight back or you're just defending yourself, they will also press charges against you. Even at 10, 11, 12 years old, they will press felony charges now.
Yeah, so now you have pressing charges. So when I was a kid, we had to grow up, we had to fight as we were growing up. So you just had to learn to defend. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn the self-defense. I think you should. But think about it. A child is now defending themselves in school. Their ego gets in the way. They're using those karate moves that they learned, right? And they hurt that child in school. I mean, based off the circumstances, it's probably better to leave it. Unless you're living in very rough neighborhoods and stuff like that where it's not a big deal. You have to defend yourself, right? Yes, Yusuf. Good, you took your answer too, mashallah. Good. Now, I'm going to suggest a few things. Since children will usually not open up to you about bullying, don't ask them are they being bullied directly. Because they're not going to open up anyway, usually. You got to say it indirectly. For example, how's school today? And they should say, it's okay, it's good, so on and so forth. But again, how is school today should be from when they're in kindergarten, preschool, every day. So they expect every day they're going to be asked. If you start asking them at teenagers, as teenagers, they're going to think that you are prying into their lives. You want to know what's going on, right? Which seems funny. As a parent, you should want to know what's going on. But teenagers have a mindset that it's my life and why are you all in my business for some reason. Even though they live under your home, your roof, and they're eating your food and they're wearing the clothes that you buy for them, they still feel like that. So you should ask them indirectly, everything going okay in school? But again, develop a relationship of talking to them about it beforehand. Very important. You see how parents have to do so much more work? It's different. It's not just putting clothes on them and taking them to school and putting food in their mouth and giving them a nice place to stay and buying them toys. It's beyond that. That's basic, but it's beyond. It's a lot of work to be a parent, and I hope your children will realize that. Establish open communication with them, as we said, in early childhood so that they can continue to seek your advice as they grow older. Talk to them. Number 3, get familiar with anti-bullying policy in your child's school. Who here knows what anti-bullying policies are in their schools? What parents know that? Parents, what are the anti-bullying policies in your schools? Parents? Nobody. Kids, any anti-bullying rules in your schools? No? You guys don't even know. Oh, wow. Yes, ma'am.
Most schools have anti-bullying programs now, and if your school doesn't, there's a way to get one started. In my children's school, if somebody's getting called names or anything like that, they have like a mediation, they bring them together, they talk about it, and they even have certain times where they go through, usually in the beginning of the school year, and they have all the kids together, and they talk about what bullying is, how it makes you feel, and what the consequences are.
Yes, our sister mentioned that most schools, like her children's school, have anti-bullying programs, and they figure out ways to deal with it. Like she mentioned, mediation, where another child, for example, a child from a higher grade will be trained to counsel children who dispute in lower grades. So they'll sit with them, they go through a process. The staff train those kids so that the children are solving their problems. It's an excellent way. And I think you all should have that in your homes, and we should have it in our masajid. But if there's anything between the two children, we should figure out how we can have older children that can mentor them and help them get over and settle their differences. Very important.
Role playing.
Role playing, that can help a lot.
Educational videos.
Educational videos.
Many lectures.
Lectures. Of course, these things will help the kids when they are being bullied. But parents, you must get familiar with, yes ma'am. Yes. You want to say something? Oh, okay, next time. I got you. So here it says, we should also contact school officials that your child is being bullied. Contact the principal, as one of our children mentioned. Talk to the principal. My child says that they're being bullied. When I was being bullied in school, when I was a kid, first grade, second grade, just a part of life. A person looked at you and he was like, after school, you better get out of Dodge. You better not be found. That's how we dealt. And, unfortunately, having this hands-off approach with school is not going to work. You must know the policies of the school as a parent. You must study. You must understand what to do, what not to do, what are the procedures. Do not have a hands-off approach, even if they go to public school. I should say, especially if they go to public school, you should know what's going on with the child's school. Parents, stop taking a back seat. You cannot take a back seat to parenting, because then out of that will grow very troubled children that we will have to deal with later on anyway. So we might as well get busy now and learn and study and understand what we need to do with our schools and have a say even. Check regularly with your child to see, and the school, to see if the bullying has stopped. Check with the principal. Check with the teacher. Check with your child. Has the bullying calmed down? It's important. Because I wish, it would have saved me a lot of emotional trauma if we had a system to stop bullying where I was coming up. Right? It just continued. And as I said, kids, get depressed. At a certain age, they might consider this being suicidal and so forth. So please step in and step up, dear parents, and help your kids develop in this and navigate in this crazy world of ours. You can also build up the child's self-esteem through activities like martial arts. Build up their self-esteem. Because it teaches them discipline, right? They can do archery. They can do football. It teaches them teamwork. Basketball. It teaches them teamwork, coordination. Build up their self-esteem so that they have some confidence about themselves. For example, if your child walks like this, and does like this, then they are not confident. Teach your child to walk with their back straight and their hands to their side. These are things that you will notice in their body language. They're not confident. You have to reinforce them, make them very confident individuals. And lastly in that, teach the children how to speak up when there's a problem. If there's a problem, they must learn how to communicate. Very important. Tell me what adolescence is. Our next segment is about adolescence. What is adolescence, the concept of adolescence? You've heard the term before, but tell me if you can give me the definition. Adolescence.
Raging hormones.
Huh?
Raging hormones.
Raging hormones. Okay, that's a good one. Adolescence. Adolescence is the space between the puberty of the child and the child becoming an adult. Adolescence. But in Islam, is there such thing as adolescence? Is there a space between puberty and adulthood? No, exactly. In Islam, there is no space per se between puberty and adulthood, because once a child is pubescent, they have to pray 5 salahs. They have to fast Ramadan. They have to lower their gaze. They can't be like, on the sister side of their boys and all. They can't. They have to, like they used to, go over there and see the sisters that are comfortable, whatever they're wearing. They used to be able to go there and stuff like that. But at that moment, pubescent, forget about it. They need to. They can't do that. They have to see people with hijab like everyone else. Period. Remember that. In Islam, once they are pubescent, they have become miniature adults. Or I should say, immature adults. You and I have to start treating them as adults. In that stage. Not in the stage when they're really little. But in that stage, they should be taking on responsibilities. Remember, I told you I had a key to my house when I was in kindergarten. That means I walk from school and I'll let myself in because of my circumstances. If your child doesn't know how to sweep, your child doesn't know how to iron a shirt or a pair of pants, or doesn't care to iron their shirt or a pair of pants. I started ironing when I was in, I think, 3rd grade. Mariam, what grade are you in? 2nd. I was about your age when I started ironing my own clothes. Do you iron your own clothes? It's okay, you don't have to.
Not yours.
MashaAllah, your mom probably takes care of it. Abdurrahman, do you iron your clothes? Excellent. What grade are you in?
6.
Exactly. What about you? You take, MashaAllah. That's what you're talking about. Allah, bravo alayk, bravo alayk. That's excellent. Yes, sir, Mr. Muhammad. Do you iron your clothes?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. So, do you all know how to sweep the floor properly? I know Noah does. I expect it. Yusuf. You know how to sweep the floor? So if we give you guys a test, is it going to work? You say, yes, you know how to sweep the floor properly? So how many of you kids know how to wash the dishes really well? Oh, good. Your parents got up on that one, huh? Yeah, some of you know how to put it in a dishwasher. How many of you kids can cook something? Good, that's good. So you guys your parents are surprising me right now. They're not here, but you guys know all of this stuff. Exactly. Give them responsibility, especially when they become adults. As we said, once they're pubescent, they have to pray their salah by themselves. You can wake them up, but you could say it's from al-amr bil ma'ruf to command them to pray, but it's not up to you anymore. That's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, command them to pray at what age? 7 years old. And discipline them in regards to their prayer at what time? 10 years old. And at that time, separate the beds. I mean, boys and girls should no longer be sleeping in the same bed. And if the boys are sleeping in the same bed, then they should not be sleeping under the same cover. Right? So So by the time they are 14, 15, pubescent age, they can do it by themselves. They have a character. As we said, even our society is built around keeping the kids in school, mandatory, at that age. When it used to be that kids would become apprenticeship. They would learn a trade from somebody else, right? They would go do what you call internships, but they would start at a young age. It used to be like that. It used to be that kids were very responsible. In fact, that you probably remember being very responsible at 14 and 15 years old back home. And kids even younger than that, 10 years old, carrying, it's a whole line of kids. And the 11-year-old and 10-year-olds taking care of all of those ages. Making sure they get dressed, making sure they get food, making sure they're taken care of. But our kids don't do that. And then we put them on video games and we put them on all of these other things, so they become crippled, literally. They become crippled, as if you're trying to stunt someone's growth. And as I said, I've come from communities where kids don't know how to wipe the counter. They don't know how to sweep the floor. They miss the trash can all the time. Could you imagine? You know, you go to put something in the trash can and it falls on the floor and no one cares. You just leave it. That's a reality. If you pamper them too much and you treat them like children, it's not going to work. When they're pubescent, they are young adults. Treat them like young adults. Give them responsibility. In fact, give them responsibility now so they're used to it when they're elder. What about angry teenagers? Angry teenagers is the most troublesome time of the parent of all the times. That's the most difficult time. Angry teenager. Teenagers angry because they're not getting their way. They're not getting what they want. They want things to be under their control. Angry teenagers. They wonder, why are you so angry? But they're mad and they must impose their own idea and they must make their decision in spite of you and they must shout at you and they jump in the car and drive off. Could you imagine? They jump in the car you bought them and drive off somewhere, angry at you, throwing stuff around, throw a soda, throw a tomato, right? Say they hate you, you do nothing for them, disrespect you, angry. You're wondering why they're so angry. If a child is behaving like that, then that's probably because you're not effective in your communication with them. As we said, it starts at a young age. Starts as soon as they can talk, communicate with them. That means if you're going to do good communication, do not allow build-up of frustrations. If you're frustrated about something, if you're upset about something, if you don't like something, mention it. Communicate. Don't let it build up and build up and build up and build up until you reach a breaking point and now you're snapping, as we call it. You're just blown up and you're just voicing all of your frustrations. That goes the same thing with a marriage. If there are any frustrations, voice them when you're happy. Don't let them build up so then when that breaking point reaches, now you start mentioning 100,000 things that your spouse did or did not do that you didn't like. Right? Same thing with your children. Don't let it build up. As my mother used to say, nip it in the bud. And you basically take care of it at the root. Take care of it immediately. Also, allow your children to talk without interrupting them. Now, I know they got some long stories. Right? Especially when they're really young. They know how to talk. 3, 4, 5. They got long stories. I'm going to have to train myself to listen also. Listen to them. Don't interrupt them. And behave like a person who is so interested in what they're saying. Because if you don't, eventually you're going to want them to talk to you when they grow up and they won't want anything to say to you. You're like, man, why doesn't my daughter talk to me? Man, why doesn't my son talk to me? Because you didn't listen to them when they were talking to you before. Right? So they got used to it. Oh, it's no use. I'm not saying anything to him. He doesn't listen. You on the phone while you're talking to them, or they're talking to you, is not listening to them. I know you have a lot of work, but cut the phone off sometime. Give them a chance. Because what they're going to do is when you're talking to them and you think you're talking to them about salah and fasting and hijab and good conduct, and that's what they're doing. Same thing you did to them. Right? Remember, what goes around, what?
Comes around.
Comes around. Remember that, parents. Listen to them. Put the phone down, close the laptop, turn off the TV, and listen to your children. Make them the spectacle. Make them important. Then they won't have a problem with speaking to you about anything. Isn't that difficult? It's difficult. It's difficult to bend your ways into to accommodate your children, but you must. You're a parent. That's what parenting is. That's what effective parenting is. Have you ever heard of someone talking too much? Yeah? You heard of that? Heard of talk too much? Have you heard of that? Someone talking too much? Have you ever heard of someone listening too much? You haven't? Really? Man, that's awesome. Do you listen too much? Alhamdulillah, that's good. Listen. People complain about others talking too much, but you never hear a complaint about listening too much. Parents, listen to your children. Siblings, listen to the other sibling. Don't go rolling your eyes. Oh man, here we go again with another story. Don't do that. Be kind to them. Make your children feel confident and secure. That they can come and they can speak with all the story and you will listen like this. Attentive, with your eyes wide open. Also, never underestimate your child's intelligence. No matter what age they are in, don't underestimate their intelligence. I want you to develop their intelligence. I want you to develop intellectual conversations with your child. Remember, it was reasoning that got me to accept Islam. And how old was I? I was 12 years old. Right? So had someone underestimated my intelligence, they wouldn't even have brought up the conversation to me. But as you all know, my aunt had this intellectual conversation, or basically these two questions. Why do you eat those pork rinds? And I kept eating them, and she said, they were not made to be eaten. So that is an intellectual argument. That means if something is not made for the use that you're using it, then there's no need for you to do that. Right? A child realizes that. It's not made for that, so I'm not going to use it for that. Right? No one uses a light bulb as dish soap. Right? Light bulbs are for lights, not for washing dishes. A child understands that if it's not made for that, then I'm not going to use it for that. But in addition to that, the second question was, what do you think about Jesus Christ? Right? I said, I think he is the Son of God. She said, God is the creator of the heavens and the earth. Why would he need a son? And then I started to analyze that. Because of those two questions, I accepted Islam. Yes, pork rinds and Jesus. From pork rinds and Jesus, I accepted Islam. But if no one asked me the question, like I'm a child, then I would have never reached that conclusion. So never underestimate their intelligence. Have intellectual conversation with them as much as possible. A good time, what do you think is a good time that you can converse with your children? You can have a conversation with your children. Tell me, what are good times? Yes, sir.
When they're not doing any work.
Good job, when they're not doing any work.
Yeah.
Right? Good job. Ismail.
Maybe when they don't like when at a young age when they like to when they're not busy.
Good job. Like they're not doing any work, they're not busy. Yes, Yusuf.
After school.
After school. Really? Is that a good time? What do you guys think?
Between Maghrib and Isha.
Dinner time. That's a good one. Yes, sir.
In the car.
In the car. Yeah. You got to drive anyway. I used to pick up some of my students for class, and I would converse with them while driving. I would ask them about school, what they're learning. I would ask them about their teachers and the classmates, and I would use that time to develop a relationship with them. So in the car is excellent because you don't have TV on. Unless, of course, you pull your phone out. Of course, you're driving, so you're not pulling the phone out. But the kids are, Daddy, let me see your phone. Yes, sir.
No, some cars have TVs in them.
Yes, some cars have TVs, so no TVs in the car. Where's another time, a good time to speak to your children?
Between Maghrib and Isha.
Between Maghrib and Isha. I know one brother here, he said, Maghrib and Isha, I'm at home with my kids. And I said, that's excellent, mashallah, it paid off for him. Yes, sir.
When they're awake and fresh.
Awake and Fajr. Hey, what if they're like so tired and sleepy?
No, you're going to make them awake and they have to stay awake.
Good. Make them awake, encourage them to get up, which is excellent, mashallah, and drive them to the masjid. Yes, sir.
Traveling in the airplane.
Traveling in the airplane. Or traveling in a road trip, which is the same thing as doing it in a car. Yes, sir.
I forgot.
You forgot. Wait. Yes, ma'am.
Bedtime, before you read them a story.
Good job. At bedtime, read them a story. Hey, I don't ever remember being read a story growing up. Guess what? I don't miss it, alhamdulillah. I think my mother taught me how to read, and she just said, read yourself, right?
Not
But-
during the eating.
Huh?
Not during the eating.
Not during eating. Well, this,
Lunch or dinner.
for example, if you all are eating together, there used to be a tradition in America of eating dinner together. And everybody, when we had fathers in American culture, when there was assisting as fathers, mom would have the kids wait till fathers come home before they eat. You gotta wait for dad to come home, then you eat. You're not eating before the big guy sits down in the chair. See? The dad had his place, big guy, you know what I mean? The man of the house. He has to sit down, then you can eat. But now we're all eating separately. You microwave this, you microwave that, you microwave this. Kids don't want that, they want pizza. Kids don't want that, they want chicken nuggets. They don't feel like waiting and eating. You see what I'm saying? You have to use that as an opportunity to sit down. I remember in Yemen, we would sit down and eat with each other. And we didn't have a TV playing in the background. But now, we have a TV playing in the background. Everyone sets up these little separate chairs like this, separate tables like this, full tables, and sits in front of the TV, and everybody's lined up on the couch, and they're eating as they're engaging in the television, instead of engaging in one another. Right? It's an opportunity we miss. Yes, Mr. Yusuf.
I still sometimes
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you say that again?
I still do that.
You still do what?
Waiting for my dad to eat.
Excellent, he still does that. Okay, kids, everybody has to be like Yusuf. Okay? If your dad is coming home, you know he's coming, just wait for him, eat with him, okay? And use that as an opportunity to converse, have a conversation. As we said, cut the TV off because the TV distracts you. Every 5 seconds you're like this. You can't focus on the person in front of you. I can't stand when the television is on and I'm talking to someone. It's like, hey, we either watch the television or we cut off and have a conversation. Doing both is not going to work. Because you're distracted. It's supposed to grab your attention. And the television on at the same time keeps you from a deeper relationship. I remember mentioning to you that many people, they have like a TV in every room in their house, right? And then there's one in the living room and one in the kitchen. Both of them are on and no one is watching it. So that background noise is just so comforting to people. But it's distracting because it's on. Every time you go to bust out a conversation to someone, you're looking to see what's on the television. Hey, cut it off. It's of no benefit to you for the most part. For the most part, it's of no benefit to any of us. So, lessen the effect of that television. Yes, sir.
We used to keep TVs in the room, but now we took them out.
Good job. Your parents are excellent. MashaAllah.
No, but I didn't like it.
Good job. He didn't even like the TVs in his room. Could you imagine? I grew up with a TV in my room since I was in 1st grade. My mother did not want me to bother her with what she wanted to watch. So she said, here's your own. Go watch your own television. So this has always had that. See? Alhamdulillah, as I developed, as I grew older, I'm annoyed. If I'm at my mother's house and we're sitting on the couch, I prefer she cut the television off. So I can have a conversation with her. I want to talk to her. I keep doing like, if the TV's on, I'm going to keep doing this, even if you're trying to have a conversation. Then you don't want to be rude to your mother, you're being distracted while she's talking to you. You get what I'm saying? The point is, snip it for that moment and get to know each other. And remember, parents, as soon as you shout at your child or scold your child, they will shut off. Remember that. As soon as you shout at them, especially when they're teenagers. See, when they're kids, okay, they'll take it, no problem. But when they feel like they can make their own decision, they'll shut off. As soon as I've seen kids literally in front of me, as soon as their dad opens their mouth, they automatically shut off to their dad. It goes flat line. One ear, in one ear, out the other. Automatically. Because the child is used to the pestering and the annoyance and the complaints of their father. It's usually a barking from one side, rah, 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 like this. That's what the child is used to. And remember, when that child turns a teenager, as soon as you start talking, I've seen it. Blank. Shut off. They're not paying a single attention to anything the father is saying. At least not apparently. See what I'm saying? Don't shout, if that's the case. Develop a conversation with them and a relationship with them now, and then those things won't happen. Alhamdulillah, that concludes our lecture series of building the legacy through effective parent-child relations. I hope many of the kids here agreed with what I said. I hope many of the parents here agreed with what I said. The that you all start practicing all of these things, as much of it as possible. Love each other. Be families. If we continue the parenting the way that we are, then we're just developing generations of chaos. And then we complain that no kids come to the masjid, right? We complain that no kids are involved in the masjid. We complain that many different things about the lack of activities of the youth. But it starts from parenting. It starts at home. Do you have any questions, comments, concerns, reservations, suggestions? Yes, sir.
I got two questions. I'll ask one and then another brother can ask a
Like,
First question is, when you said the child, if you scold your child at a teenage time, they will automatically shut.
yes.
Is that because of their age, or is that a defense mechanism they build up to that point to where they're, like subconsciously, they shut down, they're not even aware of what they're doing? Is that what happens, or?
It's both. So it's with their age, because they can take offense now. And they also have a feeling of they have a right to respect. They have a right to be respected. So since you're shouting at them and scolding them, and they're used to that, as soon as you open your mouth, they shut off. And it's subconscious thing. It is a defense mechanism. They're defending their emotions from being interrupted and annoyed by you. So as a parent, don't let that be that one-way, conversation with them. It should not be that every time you open your mouth, you're complaining. It's what about, talking to them about their day, let's go here, let's go there, what do you think about this? How about this? If you're going to watch TV and movies, why don't you watch it with them and discuss it afterwards? Say, hey, let's talk about, don't make a big deal out of it. Hey, ask them 3 questions. If you see something that's inappropriate in the movie, mention it to them and see if they caught it. Point is, engage your children. Because if it's always one way, as I said, subconsciously they shut off, they defend themselves, they feel like they have a right to respect, and since you won't respect them, they won't want to hear anything you have to say. And that's why they talk to their friends, and that's why they keep saying, my friends, my friends, my friends, my friends. Why? Because they have a place with their friends. They have a say with their friends. Their friends follow them. Their friends respect them. So that's why they always want to be with their friends and do what their friends are doing. Remember that. So if you're not developing a friendship along with being a parent, a type of friendship, then you're going to lose them to their friends. And you've seen many people in the wrong places, as they say, at the wrong time, with the wrong crowd. You get locked up, your child, A student, he's with his friends that are decided to rob a convenience store. And he just caught up in it, and then they all get caught, he gets put in jail. Or someone gets shot, or someone gets killed. You know what I'm saying? You keep pushing them away, they're going to keep finding their place or their space with those people and those bad influences. Yes, what's your second one? Unless someone else has another question. Tafadhal.
Genetics, nature versus nurture. How do you deal with like for example, one of the parents is known to be angry. He or she may be an angry person on the edge all the time. One of the kids or 2 of the kids, just that key is open. How do you deal with nurture versus nature?
Right. So if the child has a trait of anger and they developed it from you as a parent, then that means you have to change your ways or else the child will never change theirs. The parent, if you're an angry person, if you have a short fuse, you have to learn to do anger management. As we said, there's no need to shout out the child. No need to shout at them. Firm voice, tell them the consequences. If they continue, put them in timeout, or if they're too old for timeout, take away their privileges, and so forth. There's no need to lose your cool. So if we're shouting and bulging out at the veins, then that's what the child is inheriting. And they do it back to us. So we have to change our ways in order for the child to change theirs. We have to change our approach in order for the child to respond differently. Right? They say...
Or you can seek professional help. Too.
Yes, we can also seek professional help. We can also... There's a difference between reacting and responding. See, You react to something, something has happened, and you're just like, however, whatever energy the child is bringing, you bring the same energy. That's two forces coming and clashing together. But you can respond by being calm and asking them what's wrong, what's making them feel this way, what's making them say what they say, what's making them do what they do. They feel appreciated, they want to talk to you. It's a science, wallah. It's math. It's math. Think of it like that. Yes, sir.
What if it came from like the bullying? What if it came from like what if it came like from the parents and the kids?
Say that again. Say it more.
What if it's like the parents and the kids are both bullying?
Are bullying. That's the problem. If the parents are bullying the children, and the children are bullying other children or their siblings, then in order for the children to change, who has to change? The parents have to change. Now I know parents change, and hearing your child say there needs to be a change is difficult to swallow, but that's okay. If your child recognizes your faults, then Allah has had mercy on you. If your child can recognize that you've done something wrong or you can do it better, and they have the ability to mention that to you, then that's their job. Yes, al-amr bil-ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar doesn't have to be commanding the good and forbidding the evil. It could be encouraging good and discouraging evil. So your child is encouraging you to do good, encouraging you to pray, encouraging you to be patient. That's what it is. That's deen, right? So don't be offended if your child recognizes your faults. Let them tell you. If they learn something with Shaykh, for example, they come to the masjid, they learn something with the imam, they learn something at Sunday school or Islamic school, and they bring it up to your attention. They bring it up to your attention because they care. A brother told me he has two sons, and one of his kids is elder than the younger one. And he loves Islam and Islamic school. Everything he learns in Sunday school, he comes back home, he teaches it, and he talks about it. He said one time, his younger son was on his back while he was praying. They were praying in the house. The younger son jumped on dad's back. And the older son knows he's not going to jump on dad's back. So then dad took his younger son off his back, put him down, and then continued prayer. The son, the Sunday school kid, the one who likes Islamic studies, you know what he said to his father after that? He said, "Father, don't you know Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was praying, and Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein were praying with him, and they were on top of his back, and he stayed in sujood the whole time until they decided to get down, and none of the Sahaba even moved. Why didn't you behave like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam?" MashaAllah, this parent was happy. Yes, of course, initially it's you feel defensive and all of that, but the child is telling you the truth. Right? That's the relationship it should be. It should be always you giving them advice and you admonishing them. No, it should be eventually they do the same for you. May Allah make it easy for us. اللهم هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. Allah, provide for us from our wives and our children the coolness of our eyes and make us leaders for the pious people. Allahumma tub alayna waj'alna min al-rashidin. Allah, accept our repentance and make us of those who are guided. Allahumma ighfir li abaina wa ummahatina. Oh Allah, forgive our mothers and our fathers. Allahumma waghfir lilladhina sabaquna bil iman. Oh Allah, forgive those who have preceded us in faith. Wa la taj'al fi qulubina ghillan lilladhina amanu. And do not make any rancor or disgust in our hearts for those people who believe. رَبَّنَا إِنَّكَ رَؤُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. Oh our Lord, you are the merciful and you are the compassionate. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين. آمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.